Unspoilt beauty abounds. Tropical gardens, historic sites, quaint rural villages and lush foliage. These are among the natural features that attract one to St. Joseph. It is naturally beautiful. For many years, the residents of this parish regarded themselves as being overlooked because, unlike other parishes, they were not benefiting from the many social services and development of infrastructure as seen in other parishes. Thankfully, in recent times, that has all changed. Through the efforts of their parliamentary representative, the Honorable Dale Marshall, and despite the setbacks brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, St. Joseph is on the move with upgrades to its social services and infrastructure. Therefore, we thought it important to highlight the fundamental changes that have come to this parish during the last 3 years. Changes that have certainly improved the lot of residents. I'm Joshua Hinkson. This is St. Joseph Revived.
We're standing on an area of land that is actually just over 2 acres. And this is the open space of a national housing project. And in every development, the Chief Town Planner requires that certain areas of land be left vacant so that they can be landscaped and recreational facilities put in for the people who live in the community. And this area, while it has been left available for that, has not seen the benefit of any of those kinds of opportunities. You can see from looking at it that it is now, for the most part, overgrown with bush. It doesn't have any attraction to it, and quite frankly, it is no more of a home for rodents and pests than anything else. And the residents of Blackman's Development reached out to me to see if we could have a cooperative venture. They wanted to get involved as well, but I was able to say to them that the minister had agreed that this location would be part of the Clean and Green program.
Since then, this spot here in Blackman, St. Joseph has been transformed to a beautiful, serene environment for the enjoyment of all. As you can see, it continues to be maintained by the National Conservation Commission. We turn our attention now to the reopening ceremony of the St. Joseph Outpatient Clinic. For many years, this parish's lone public healthcare facility was out of commission, with the building becoming derelict. The government, recognizing the importance of such a facility for residents, invested into this clinic at Horse Hill. As MP Dale Marshall puts it, a model for other clinics in Barbados.
It is a constant complaint of rural Barbados that we seem not to get the fair share of the country's bounty. Our roads, Prime Minister, you well know, are often allowed to fall into disrepair. Bus services are often not frequent. And this building, this shell of what was such a noble idea in the 50s, standing at the top of Horse Hill, on the main artery to the East Coast, was a constant reminder of what appeared to be neglect and disinterest. And this constituency, I promise not to be long, but this constituency has been promised a new healthcare facility for quite some time. It was supposed to be at the Tamarind Hall facility. And when I broke ground for that facility in 2007, it was to my regret that we didn't have the finances available to do it then. And in the years since then, we'd heard that this clinic was going to be closed and that residents of St. Joseph would have to go to Gall Hill to receive even the most basic of medical attention. And while as the crow flies, Gall Hill Polyclinic is probably no more than 1.5 miles away, that notion that St. Joseph residents could conveniently get to Gall Hill was completely misplaced, because they would have had to take a bus to town and then take a bus to St. John and then take a bus back to town and a bus to St. John if you wanted to get a dressing done. What is here, as you can tell, is a much bigger facility. I think we've almost doubled in size. A much bigger facility, landscaping that I know will be luxurious, and a wonderful gazebo for those people who have to get here early before the clinic opens. They no longer have to bear the sun and the rain. They can sit there in comfort. I think this is going to be a model for all the other polyclinics that you will do, Jeffrey, because obviously COVID encourages people to be outdoors. But this lovely gazebo it is almost as if you will come here to relax at the end of a busy day. And I encourage you, Reverend, your congregation is more than welcome to use it as well. And Digicel has committed to giving us a hotspot here so that when you come early or wait after you've been seen by the doctor, you have the benefit of internet access, something that I'm sure people in the neighborhood will also come and make use of. So our dream has in part been fulfilled. There's a lot more in terms of satisfying the demands of a rural constituency that is taking place. Prime Minister, I shouldn't boast because you might start to tighten the purse strings. But since the year began, we've broken ground on a new civic center in Bathsheba. We are here now, and I'm not going to say anything more because the PM may say, well, that's enough. I want to lean on her generosity for a little bit longer so that we can achieve a few much-deserved things in this constituency. And when we do things in St. Joseph, we're not doing it for Josephines. Yes, we're the primary beneficiaries, but to lift up rural Barbados, Prime Minister, is to lift up the entire country.
We are here to remind you that we want you to stay where you are best and most comfortable, because this country is not about a decentralized, heavily urbanized environment, but it is one about holistic development from St. Lucie to St. Philip, from St. James to St. John and St. Joseph. And I give you the commitment as Prime Minister of this nation that as long as this government is in office, we will continue on the journey of the decentralization of services, bringing services to you, the people of St. Joseph, to you, the people of St. Andrew, to you, the people of St. Lucie, to you, the people of St. John, to you, the people of St. Peter, to you, the people of St. Philip, to you, the people of St. Thomas, to the people of St. George, which is more suburban and, than it has ever been in recent times. But these rural parishes that have felt for too long that they have been forgotten must now be able to stand up and command the services, including housing, by the way, which we will continue to do. There was a problem with garbage, and it was solved. There was a problem with buses, and it was solved. There was a problem with access to medical services, and it has been solved. There is a problem with water, and it will be solved.
Thank you very much, Madam Prime Minister. We will certainly present that later in the program. Next up, the Tent Bay Fishing Complex, which underwent refurbishment and renovations in October of 2021, providing a better facility for fisherfolk and encouraging greater community life.
The history of fishing in Tent Bay goes back many, many generations, and certainly well past a century or two. It's a little remembered fact that at one point in time, the fishing community, we had more fishing boats here at Tent Bay than probably many of the other fishing communities in Barbados. But of course, we had our challenges, and in those days, getting fish from Tent Bay to Tongue and other places was not so easy as it is now. And of course, with the development of the fishing complex in Bridgetown, many of our fishing people felt it was more convenient to move down there. But I'm especially delighted that there's a new generation of individuals, some young, but some not so young, who are willing to seize the heritage that we have here at Tente Bay and to get back in fishing. But I can attest to you and to everyone listening that there's a passion about the fish, there's a passion about fishing, a passion about the marine life that you will experience at Tente Bay in a way that you don't see it in any other place. And the investment that the government has made once more into this market is a testimony to our commitment to ensuring that the fishing community at Tente Bay lives on for another few generations. I look forward to the day when at this small location, when we are able to rival what is happening in Oistins and invite people to come to Tente Bay to experience not just the magnificent breezes and the wonderful views, but experience cooking of seafood like no other. And I want to say to you, Minister, that I thank you for making sure that we have the beginnings of that enterprise. You've given us 8 picnic benches, and I can see that will represent the foundation of not just the fishing industry, but a secondary entertainment industry here at Tente Bay, one that people from Belle Plaine and St. Peter and St. Lucie, and I mean, even from Oistins, can come out to experience. We have a lot to offer, and this is the beginning of it.
Tente Bay, and the AG said it all really. Tente Bay for me is, I mean, it's such a beautiful location. When we started Tente Bay, if I'm being very honest, it was to do basic remedial work. It was never to do the massive renovations that we undertook here. So in the first instance, we spent some money, but then the Attorney General came to me and he said, well, I believe y'all need to give Tente Bay a proper upgrade. My response at the time was, well, there's not that much fishing compared to other places, and my resources are so limited. But his vision for Tente Bay is that Tente Bay, not in a reimagined way, but in a real way, Tente Bay becomes a fishing giant again. So, in keeping with the vision of the Attorney General, we then determined that we needed to put more resources into Tente Bay. We spent just under $200,000 when initially we had no intention of spending that much money to do the work that we have done here at Tente Bay. If you look, when you go inside, we've changed the countertops. We've taken out those tiles where the grout forms in between. We've replaced that with a commercial quartz that is non-porous, that allows us to make the necessary phytosanitary standards that are associated with modern fishing villages.
Added to the upgraded facilities, St. Joseph residents now have a newly built community center at Hillcrest and recreational area in Beachmont Park. This center, just a stone's throw away from Tente Bay, overlooks the magical coastline of Bathsheba, acts as a cultural space promoting commercial activity. The Hillcrest Community Center and Beachmont Park was officially opened on June 2nd, 2022.
I wish that I could find the words to really express how I feel about being here, to officially open both this lovely community space and this new facility here at Hillcrest and Beachmont. Both of these represent another step in the fulfillment of a dream for Bathsheba. But it is not my dream alone. It is a dream that has been dreamt by all Bathsheba residents, as we all want to see this area become the best it can be. These two facilities combined will perhaps now be the jewel in the crown that is in St. Joseph. This tent that is shading us this evening sits on a site that Tricia said only 2 years ago it was nothing but bush. And the St. Joseph Regathering Committee felt that our legacy project for our month will be the creation of a park on this site. We have on this location now not just wonderful views, but a jogging trail, an exercise area outfitted with equipment, a popular road tennis court. I know people who come from town to play road tennis here. And there's still more to come. We're planning on putting in a barbecue pit and some swings and so on, all for the enjoyment of the people of this constituency. We all remember the community center that was located here. And that facility had unfortunately become a victim of disuse or non-use and decay. It was closed in 2013. And I have to say that in the year 2019, the Community Development Department under the then minister, my friend Adrian Ford, who apologizes that he couldn't be here, approached me as MP proposing to refurbish this center. I offered a different view. Prime Minister, their offer to refurbish it would only have cost $700,000. The view that I offered, unfortunately, costs a lot more than that. But it was clear to me that community centers, as they used to operate in the 70s and 80s, were a thing of the past and perhaps required relooking. Youth clubs have been diminishing in popularity across Barbados. And many of our young people are now immersed in digital activity like gaming, things that never take them very far from a wireless hotspot or from their living room. And we also have alternative locations for our meetings that have been well used since the center was closed in 2013. So I prevailed on the ministry to try a different concept which would bring together greater value and economic opportunities for this community. And that concept was an open-air facility with opportunities for vending and dining. Ian Best of Robertson Ward captured that vision perfectly, and Hackleton's Construction did an amazing job in building it. We now have 3 vendors, kiosks, and a restaurant, all of which will bring more life and economic activity to Bathsheba. They will bring direct employment, but of equal importance, it will mean more markets for our fishermen at Tent Bay, for our fruit growers and vegetable farmers. This facility will add to the overall product in Bathsheba, and its vendors will now add to the growing vibrant dining and entertaining culture and experience.
We have for too long forgotten that people lived on this side of the island. People paid taxes, and people were deserving of services that are of the highest caliber in this country. I am proud to lead a government of representatives and ministers that have understood that intrinsically, and therefore it is in the form of healthcare, community development and sports, housing, roads, beautification, soon to be, I hope, a Gullies project. Regardless of what it is, we have come to say that we must bring to the people where the people live the opportunities for community renewal and parish renewal within the Scotland District. The basics of life that have included access to water, that for too long, and I wish my dear friend Boo Husbands was still with us, because he, more than most others, would have made the noise in my ears year after year after year after year, when water was simply not flowing through the pipes of the people of St. Joseph. The AG mentioned the reservoir at Castle Grant that is about to be completed next month. You only have to pass by it again, and you will realize that it's replacing another reservoir that was underground that is decades old and far from fit for purpose for the needs of the people of St. Joseph. That we are still very much in the middle of wrestling to the ground these problems relates more to the fact that most of the pipe work that we are finding bursting has been laid as far back in some instances, as Santi will tell you, from as far back as 1856. And therefore, what lies before us is a monumental task of replacing 97.5% of our pipe work still in a distribution system that was established by the British when they had an empire. Regrettably, we have only a country, and the finances that go with a country are not an empire. I ask, therefore, Barbadians to understand and appreciate that we have come to this point to show you what is possible even when things are difficult and even when things are challenging. But a commitment to rebuild these rural parishes, to rebuild these rural communities, to recognize that here you have what others will pay limitless amounts for. An environment that is hospitable, a climate that is good for your health, terrain that helps you to stay healthy, food that is grown among you that keeps you healthy, camaraderie, and the ability to remain really able to say that your quality of life ranks among the best in the world, even in the middle of a pandemic and even in the middle of war. Let us recommit, my friends, to completing the task of allowing rural Barbados to reign once again as a place of glory from which many of us have come, but from which many of us have left because of the absence of the services and the absence of the facilities necessary to make life a little easier. This government is committed to that. Come to Bashaba, enjoy the breeze, look over the ocean, dream of the lands from which we came, and enjoy what possibly is heaven on earth.
Like other rural parishes, residents of St. Joseph have experienced several water woes, from water supply disruptions, brown water to prolonged water outages. With good intentions, the government was determined to bring this to an end. Just recently, the people of this parish breathed a sigh of relief as the water flowed from a water storage tank constructed at Castle Grant. While the tank will not solve all water supply issues, it is certainly a step in the right direction.
When we came to office, we did have to address the issue of sewage, which I think would have taken first priority on the resources of government. But we also recognized that water was just as equally important in terms of a resource. And efforts were therefore made to attempt to alleviate those challenges by agreeing to install a number of reservoirs, to have the pumping stations, to ensure that even where we were able to supply the community tanks, that they did not become permanent across the country. Now the truth is, everybody wants everything done all at the same time. And I think if we reflect on where we are now versus where we were back then, the truth is that we've seen significant steps taken to be able to bring relief to a number of residents across these particular districts. There are still significant things that still have to be done. I know that the announcement today, while it will please the people in St. Joseph and the surrounding districts, will also perhaps agitate those in the north of the island who feel equally passionate about the fact that many of them have to deal with either no water from time to time or the issues of brown water running through their taps, because the truth is that people don't really understand and appreciate, unless you have experienced these types of things, how significant it is to have access to water. And we still have a long way to go while we've done this particular project. And while we're obviously addressing the issues with Rising Sun and all of the other pumping stations across the country, the truth is that we have started that process and there is still a significant amount of work to be done. Now, it is not by chance that we are here this afternoon. I think the truth of the matter is that this has been as a result of a lot of hard work from the private sector, from the Barbados Water Authority as well, and from all of the people who've been involved in not only raising the alarm but also working on this particular project. And I would just want to take the opportunity to thank Perconco, who've been working on the project, who's been also helping us in other areas as well to deliver on the promises that we've made to the people who've been affected, and to thank them for, in a sense, being able to bring not just their expertise, but also their understanding of the importance of this type of project in bringing water relief to the people around these particular districts. I think we can safely say we've not had the cost overruns that have been exhibited in other areas. We've been able to deliver the project on time, which I think is to their credit and certainly to the credit of the Barbados Water Authority. And I hope that that can continue in terms of our delivery of the various projects that are under the Barbados Water Authority at this point in time to deliver relief to the rest of the island. Castle Grant is but one of 5 that the Barbados Water Authority and the construction company Perconco have been working together on to improve service delivery to customers across the island. Now, this particular reservoir, as the AG said, is a vast improvement from what existed before. My understanding is that reservoir was there in place since 1911, so it's definitely older than me and the AG. And while the capacity of the old reservoir is 282,000 imperial gallons, this new facility will hold 5 times that amount, and that is 1.5 million imperial gallons. We will not stop there, however, because we will also be refurbishing the old reservoir in order to make that also fully functional. And this facility, including the newly constructed pumping station, which has taken approximately 15 months to construct, and are both already in service, will therefore now be able to supply customers in several areas of the rural parishes, St. Thomas, St. Andrew, and of course St. Joseph. While this project will improve service to the areas, we want to remind the public that with the aged infrastructure mains, the underground mains that we have, there will be some instances where we are likely to experience bursts from time to time with the additional supply being distributed. Now, I know that sometimes it seems that we've erected these structures, so therefore we've solved the problem. But because the infrastructure is so old, because the mains are over 100 years old, sometimes when we solve one problem, because of the inability to be able to do the work in all of the other areas all at the same time, and therefore I continue to ask Barbadians to be patient. We will try to make sure that we have as much of the trucks being able to go to provide the water as interim measures, but by no means do we accept that any of these measures that are temporary must remain permanent. And therefore, I know that the team at the Barbados Water Authority is going to continue to work with me to ensure that we bring relief across the country.
So, there you have it. St. Joseph Revived. A look at the infrastructural development that is occurring in this parish to the benefit of all residents and those who shall be entertained here as visitors. I'm Joshua Hinkson. St. Joseph Revived. Thanks for your time.